Honestly, I think the biggest deal is that she's got some wins in Bad Homburg, and it's the first time she's beaten a top 10 player on the grass. I think the way she talks about her game on the grass a lot of the time, it's as though she's a bit of a novice on it. She really talks her own game down on grass, but I think the week in Bad Homburg has made her realise that she can be effective on this surface too. She really did play pretty well there, especially against Alexandrova. That was the win that impressed me the most out of that little run there. But it was interesting hearing her talk about the need for confidence to play well on grass, because you'd kind of think that coming off Roland Garros she would always be at her most confident, and therefore that would just sort of help her translate. She said grass is a surface where you have to play with confidence because you have to take it to your opponent. But actually I think often when she gets on the grass, her own natural sort of insecurity about her grass court game sort of takes over the confidence that she's built up through the clay court season, and she doesn't look like a confident player on the grass at all, even though she clearly has elements in her game that can work on this surface. So it is very, very interesting, as always, having Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon. The main difference to me is just how much more under the radar she is. As David said, a press conference not that full. We've been leading discussions with Iga Swiatek's draw at the past and here at Wimbledon and all the Grand Slams, frankly. And now she feels like she's come up in our third preview show. It's just really, really interesting the different place she finds her in now. There is this weird quirk, isn't there, that Pam Shriver sent us today, that she's actually now number 4 in the world because of that run in Bad Homburg. But because of the way the seedings are used and done before the draw from the week before, she's 8th seed here. So that's kind of tough, I suppose. But given the sort of weird nature of the fact that none of the top 10 players have won Wimbledon before, the seeding amongst them maybe doesn't feel quite as important as it does at some other slams. I don't think the seeding is necessarily the reason why, we're maybe not that confident in Iga Swiatek.
I think this is quite a big deal, a big boost for Iga Swiatek's chances here that she's flying under the radar. She's got Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff just being a lightning rod at the moment for all the attention in women's tennis, and a bit Emma Raducanu here in the UK. It's not just her lack of relative results recently. It's also that story, I think, just dominating all the headlines and taking all the oxygen. And okay, I think her grand plan is she wants to be back at the top. She wants to be the one to be talked about again. But for now, given the signs of stress that she's shown in her game in recent months, I think it's an incredible boost to her just at the moment that she's able to fly a little bit under the radar. There are other issues, like her game doesn't suit this surface as well as others. The big swings, the spinny stuff, the slightly more attackable serve, but I think at least one of her issues in the past few years on grass is somewhat solved for the time being. Of course, it would only take one big moment or one big win for everyone to suddenly go, wow, Iga Swiatek, and everything to turn on its head. But for what it's worth, I think it's quite a big factor for Iga Swiatek. We also had Jessica Pegula, of course, who beat her 24 hours ago in Bad Homburg. It suits someone like Jessica Pegula, doesn't it, to play and ideally win the week before. I would hate it. I would want to get to a Grand Slam. I get to the airport 3 hours early. I want to go to the lounge. I want to eat as much free food as possible. I want to just settle in and take it all in. But people are different.
Yeah, and she came in, and honestly, her mood was so good. We was in the smaller room, whereas Iga Swiatek was in the main media theatre, which is a couple of hundred seats, and you feel a long way away from a player in that situation, even if you're on the front row. In this situation, it's 3 rows of chairs and then the desk, and you're right there together having a quiet little chat, and she seemed very comfortable with that. In fact, she seemed very comfortable with everything. She was in no rush, and I would say I got a better insight into Iga Swiatek from Jessica Pegula than I got from Iga Swiatek. You know, she was asked a question about her. She said, "Look, I thought in our match yesterday she was serving really well. She aced me loads of times, and she sort of gently, I don't want to say mocked Swiatek, but gently sort of teased the fact that Swiatek puts herself down on a grass court, because Pegula's like, she's great on grass. She's fine. There's no issues. Like, this is somebody who won Wimbledon juniors. She's sort of gives herself too hard a time, is what Jessica Pegula was saying, but she also highlighted in an answer to my question, which was about how open this feels this year. You've got a top seed in Sabalenka who's never won here before. You've got Coco Gauff, who's I think not been beyond the quarterfinals here. Iga Swiatek, who's not won this thing and not come close, and they're the players that have been at the top of the game. And here she went through this in great detail to explain why, yes, it is the most open Grand Slam, but it's not just this year. She says it's been like this for a number of years, and you only have to look a year ago. She said at the fact that Krejcikova won, that Vondrousova won, that even Rybakina won. You know, her view was that this is the surface that everybody kind of has to figure out, has to find a solution on. She says she was talking, I can't remember whether it was Vondrousova or Krejcikova. She says, you know, that suddenly they were in the final and playing well, you know, and I think it was Vondrousova, if you remember, who played that great quarter final against her, and Pegula could have won that. And she said, I do like the surface. It's not that I don't. I enjoy playing on it, but it's not second nature the way a hard court is. She knows exactly what's going to happen there. And she said sometimes it can feel like there's a little bit of luck involved. What bounce you get when you can suddenly find you're out of the tournament without having done anything wrong. And I found the whole analysis of trying to almost just accept the circumstances aren't ideal all the time on grass, the way maybe they are elsewhere. Very, very interesting.